Now listen up, my very eager mother just served us 9 pizzas. Yummy! Hey, if you graduated before the year 2006, you may remember that sentence. That sentence was used to teach kids the order of the planets in the solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, also pronounced Uranus, very funny hahaha, and finally Neptune and Pluto. Now if you are currently between 1st and 7th grades, you might say,
wait, there were 9 planets in our solar system?
Before probably going back to playing GTA 5, Minecraft, or whatever it is kids are into these days.
So, whatever happened to Pluto? It hasn't left our solar system. Not yet, at least. It's still in the solar system, as cold and small and far away as ever. So what changed?
Well, Pluto most certainly hasn't, but our understanding of it most certainly has. We know way more about Pluto now than we did in the early 20th century.
But still, how'd that result in a planet being demoted? Who even knew that was a thing that could happen?
To understand that, we need to know what the word planet means. Now, the definition has changed a lot over time. But from the age of Galileo to the 19th century, a planet was any object orbiting the sun. Most of you may say it's stupid, but it worked perfectly well. Until the year 1801. Ha 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 ha. 1801 was the year that astronomer Giuseppe Piazzi discovered Ceres, a planet orbiting the sun halfway between Mars and Jupiter. Now, you might recognize this as where the asteroid belt is.
Did Ceres pull a krypton and break into 1,000 pieces?
Sadly, no. A year after, Wilhelm Olbers discovered another planet named Pallas. Then another astronomer discovered another new planet a few years later. Then another, then another, then another, then another. You get the point. See, 7 new planets are one thing. Well, 7 things. You know what I mean. But when it turns into, say, 20, then it's time to think about how to define the word planet. See, the small rocks had more in common with each other than any of the other planets. They were tiny, they were barren, most of them were between Mars and Jupiter, and the vast majority weren't even spherical. These objects became known as asteroids in the asteroid belt. Then, after so long, the world finally went back to learning the 7 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus. Uranus. Whatever. Neptune made it 8 in 1846, with Pluto joining the club 84 years later. But wait, measurements gave it a similar size to Uranus and Neptune. The year after Pluto's discovery, its size was measured to be the size of the Earth. In 1948, it shrank again. It would keep shrinking until scientists were able to get an accurate measurement in 2006. Pluto's status was in trouble long before that, however. In 1978, James Christie discovered Pluto's moon Charon. Now I know what you're probably gonna say. Pluto has a moon, so it must be a planet, right? Well, by that logic, Mercury and Venus shouldn't be planets. Oh, and the size difference between Pluto and Charon is kinda small. 1/2 the size might seem like a big difference, but not compared to the differences in size between the other planets and their moons, and they're similar enough in mass to noticeably affect Pluto's orbit around the Sun. Probably because Pluto and Charon orbit around a common center of mass called the barycenter. This is why they are considered a binary dwarf planet system. But Pluto was a planet for decades at this point, so not everybody was happy to fire it from the Planets Association. That would change in 2005 when a Pluto-like object, Eris, was discovered beyond Neptune's orbit by Michael E. Brown. See, Eris is slightly smaller than Pluto, but initial measurements made it somewhat more massive. This was one more strike against Pluto's planetary status. Then finally, in 2006, the International Astronomical Union decided, you know what? We need a new definition of the word planet now. Time to end all this confusion forever. So they made 3 criteria that a celestial object should fulfill in order to be a planet. Firstly, the object must orbit a star. Second, it must be spherical, or at least nearly so. Pluto checks the first 2, but runs in trouble with the third, cleared the neighborhood around it. This means that no object can successfully interfere with the body's neighborhood other than its moon. Pluto fails to meet that category, so that third one remains unchecked. Like and subscribe.